Welcome to the Dr. John Meis Show. Today we're not going to be talking about driving Miss Daisy. We are going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, driving new patient demand. Hey everybody, I'm headed to Florida tomorrow. Going to be speaking Monday and Tuesday to a group of almost 300 dentists. And one of the things I really love about some dental organizations is they really take improving their team's capabilities seriously. And so the organization I'm going to speak to, closing down offices Monday and Tuesday, and making sure everybody in their organization is sharpening the saw. It's such a competitive advantage. So I also want to let everybody know about the free gift I have for you. It's a book. It's my Amazon #1 best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide on How to Double or Triple Your Practice Production. You can get that book for free. Just go to the website that's on the bottom of the screen, and we'll be happy to send you one of those. I want to tell you a story about a practice that I've consulted with. And when we started working with this practice, it really had some exceptional things. First of all, the doctor was very, very attractive. And I mean, not attractive, well, attractive in a physical sense, but also attractive in kind of a charismatic personality, right? He was good, you know, he connected with people really well. His office was gorgeous. I mean, it was really well done, very nicely decorated, and this equipment was super, had all of the high technology pieces that you could want. So we had a great doctor, we had a great office, and they had all the pieces. But here was the problem that they were running into. They simply didn't have enough patient flow to be profitable. So he had a great skill set, great personality, great practice setup. All the pieces were there, but it just wasn't working. And one of the reasons it wasn't working was they weren't attracting enough new patients. And so the only patients they were attracting was from advertising spending, and it was so expensive that they were not able to be profitable. So once we helped him understand how to drive natural demand so that he earned patient demand, his practice turned around really quickly. That's the important part, because the market responds when they get what they want. So we're going to talk about that natural demand today. So we're going to be talking about new patient demand here, and I'm going to take new patient demand and I'm going to split it into two, and I'm only going to talk about one of them today. So there is bought demand, and that's demand that you buy by sending out postcards or having radio or having billboards, television, whatever it is that you're doing, that you're spending money on to market. That is really bought demand. I'm going to be talking about the other one, and that is the natural demand. The demand that comes from just doing things in a better way. So I'm going to talk about how we increase natural demand so that we have less cost on the bought demand side when we talk about that. Make sense? All right, we're going to jump into it. So I recently got my eyes examined. I moved to Phoenix about a year ago. It was time to get my eyes examined. And so I've just gone through this process of choosing a professional. And so I'm going to intermix my story of choosing an eye professional into this story because I think it'll make sense to illustrate some of the points. All right, so I totally believe that you can't give people too much of what they want. And so when we're talking about natural demand, we're going to be talking about how do we give people more of what they want. Now, this is kind of an interesting topic. I do it in front of audiences all the time, where I will ask the audience to fill in the blank. What do patients want? And they go through a list of some, and they go through the list, generally, the items that dentists want to give them, not necessarily the one where there isn't a good match. All right, so I'm going to go through some of these and talk a little bit about what they mean. So convenient location. So to me, a convenient location is someplace that's close to a lot of rooftops. When I'm considering purchasing a practice, one of the things I'll do, very first things I'll do, is I'll go to Google Earth and I'll look at that address and I look around it and see, are there a lot of rooftops? And if there are, that's good, because I know I'm going to be convenient to those people that are the rooftops near there. So being convenient also means having good parking. One of the practice capacity blockages that's so difficult to fix is if you don't have enough parking. So a convenient location means it's on a path where people already go, right? So if it's off a single building location is fantastic, right? A freestanding building is a fantastic thing for dental practices, as long as it's somewhere where people are already going. And one of the reasons why strip mall practices have been fairly predictably good is because you can pick a place that's close to where people want to go. So convenient location. So making sure that it's on an already traveled path. So that means there's a lot of traffic going by. If there's not a lot of traffic going by, it's not on people's natural path. That's what makes locations convenient. The next one I want to talk about, well, let's talk about the eye exam. So there's only 3 or 4 places in my little suburb of Phoenix that do eye care. And there's one that is right across the parking lot from this studio. So it had a convenience factor that beat everybody else. So as I was looking through the different things on who I was going to choose, that was a plus for that particular practice. Next one is convenient hours. And this is the one that's tough, because this is one where what the dentists and their team want and what patients want, there's often a conflict. So patients can consider hours to be convenient when they can go to the dentist and they don't have to miss, you fill in the blank, when they don't have to miss work. So that means evening hours, Saturday appointments, Sundays in some markets are popular as well. So if you're there when people want to come, can you see what the powerful effect that can have on natural demand? And those of you who have expanded hours and have evening hours, one of the things that you'll know is that they book out. They book out way out, right? Generally, it's very difficult for most practices to have enough evening hours to capture the demand because they book out so far. So next one is patients want a good value. Often people in audiences will make a joke, they want it to be free. Well, I don't believe that that's true. There may be a few people out there that are, crackpots, shall we say, that think free is possible. But what most people want is a good value. So they want to be well taken care of, and they want to be the fees to be affordable. And we'll talk about how to make them more affordable in a little bit. Patients like to have their care done in one office. They don't like referrals. And so to the degree that an office can do all the types of dentistry that a patient may need, patients prefer that. And I got many referrals from patients when one of their friends said, oh, my dentist doesn't do this, my dentist doesn't do that. Well, our dentist does them all, so you should go see them. I got a lot of referrals from that. Next thing, friendly, compassionate staff, and the staff that listens well. It's so important. I've been in 300 practices in the United States and Canada, and one of the things that I have observed a great range of, from good to bad to ugly, is the ability to listen to what patients want and really capture what they want in dentistry and how they're feeling about dentistry. Teams that can do that are very attractive and very sticky to patients. Next thing that patients really want is for their chief complaint to be dealt with. The fact of the matter is almost 70% of people that are seeking dental care have a known problem to them. They're going for a reason. And a major frustration that we hear from patients is when they have a problem, they have a known problem, but the care for that problem gets delayed for the next visit or the next visit or the next visit or the next phase. That is very, very frustrating to patients. And the ability to deal with their chief complaint and deal with it quickly, same day if possible, is very attractive to patients and, again, very sticky for patients. Patients want their care to be painless, of course, and dentists want that too. But I have seen times when dental teams' sensitivity to patients' comfort has been not as good as it could have been. And so my partner, Wendy Briggs, often talks about that dental cleanings should not hurt, right? They just shouldn't hurt. And I've often seen in the cleaning phase, I've seen patients be uncomfortable and the hygienist or assistant or who's ever working with the patient at that point in the appointment aren't really sensitive to it. I've also seen that in the restorative side as well, where the patient was clearly moving as if they're having some discomfort, and the dental team doesn't focus in on it. They don't stop. They don't make sure they're doing everything they can to keep the patient comfortable. So it's an area that most practices can get even better on. So one of the things about making care affordable is patients really like payment plans. Is there a convenient way that they can pay for it over time so that they can have the care they need in the time frame that they want and still be able to afford it? So having a good system for payment plans is important. The next one is patients like it if you take their insurance. Now, whether insurance is part of your strategy or not will be the topic of one of these shows at some time in the future. But know that if you're not taking patients' insurance, you are decreasing the natural demand that you have, right? So patients really want you to take their insurance. Patients want quality of care, and dentists do too. So it's one of those things that we really align on well. But how well you listen to their wants is a place where dentists and patients really have a divide, right? So patients think of what they want in the order that they want and in the time frame that they want. And dentists have a tendency to fall back on what the patient needs or what they feel the patient needs. And so there often is a needs-wants mismatch. And if there is a needs-wants mishmash and the patients don't get what they want, that's a problem, right? Because that is going to reduce natural demand because patients who don't get what they want don't refer. Next thing is patients want the phone to be answered when they call. And I had a fabulous experience at a recent mastermind group where we had called all of the practices that were there. And I believe that there were 14 practices there. And we made 10 attempts to call them over 10 days in the normal business hours. So we measured how many of them answered the phone. And you're going to be amazed at this. The best one answered the phone 90% of the time. Okay, remember, these are normal business hours. The best one answered it 90% of the time. But they were using a service that if they didn't catch it at the office, it rang into a dental call center where the call was answered. So that combination, they got it to 90%. Now, what do you think the lowest percent was? The lowest percentage of calls answered. I couldn't believe it. The room was stunned, and it was one of those where you could just feel everybody take a breath like that can't be true. The lowest percentage was 0. 10 call attempts, none of them were answered. No, they weren't on vacation. No, they simply didn't have enough phone lines, enough people to answer their phone. They knew it was a problem. They didn't know it was that bad of a problem, but they knew it was a problem that they hadn't fixed. So most practices, if they don't have a strategy to deal with answering the phone, most practices at best are answering about 65% of the calls. Now, everybody argues this with me. Everybody says, no, we're doing way better than that. How do you know? Well, because it rolls to voicemail if we don't answer it. Well, what happens when you call someplace and you don't get an answer and it rolls to voicemail? How often do you leave a message? If you're like me, and I bet you are, you don't leave a message very often. You think, I'm going to call back later. But our statistics that we got from postcard 123 postcard was that a new patient calling in, if they do not get their call answered, only 13% of them will call back in the next 30 days. Only 13%. So remember, new patients are skittish, right? So if you don't catch them in that attempt, you're going to lose a large percent of them. Patients want the phone to be answered. The next thing that patients like is social proof. They want to know that you're good. So as I was looking for an eye care professional, what did I do? I went to Google, right? I typed in eye care in Fountain Hills, Arizona. And so they came up, and one of the places had 145 reviews at an average of 4.5 stars, right? Another one didn't even show up. They didn't have any reviews. Another one had 4 reviews at 3.5 stars. You tell me which one has the most social proof, right? It's obvious, the one with all the reviews. And so they were using a service. I don't know which one they were using. One of the ones that we have used is Podium or Review Jump. Both have good products and do a great job. And they increase the number of reviews that you have on Google. It gives you social proof, and patients are looking for that. Nothing draws a crowd like a crowd. And when you have a lot of reviews, it looks like a crowd. Next thing is patients don't want a lot of wait time. And there's multiple wait times. The first wait time is how long is it before I can get an appointment in your office? And I have seen dentists proudly talk about how they don't have any appointment availability for 2 weeks. Well, is that attractive to new patients? Not so much. Patients want to come in when they want to come in. And if they want to come in now, they want to come in now. And they're going to find a place that will see them now. So that's the first wait time. The second wait time is when they come to your office, how much time do they wait before they're seen, and how much wait time do they wait before there's an exam, and how much waiting is there in the entire patient experience. Patients like no waiting. They like efficiency. Time and speed matters with patients. And the next thing that they like is patients like to contact your practice in the way that they're used to communicating with people. Right? So those practices that just take new patient information or have patient contact just over the phone, you're missing people that want to communicate in other ways. The practices that really have this nailed, they will be able to have a mechanism for patients to contact them via phone, via email, via social media. The practices that really have this nailed will have a chat now box that appears so that they can actually chat with a live person in your office to schedule an appointment. So the best offices, the ones with the most natural demand, have the most contact mechanisms so that patients can contact you in the way they like. So I'd love for you to go back and kind of score yourself. How well did you do? Do you have a convenient location? Do you have patient-friendly hours? Are your fees reasonable? Are you doing most of the care in your office? Go through all the things that we talked about and score it for yourself so you can determine just how well you are mastering the natural demand. The better you do the natural or earned demand, the better off your practice is going to be, the more profitable it's going to be, the more new patients that you'll have to serve. So if you have any questions or comments on this show, go ahead and type them on whatever place that you're watching. If you're watching it from Facebook, if you're watching it from YouTube, go ahead and type those in. And in future episodes, we'll actually be dealing with those questions, those concerns, those challenges. So bring it on. I enjoy it all. So I want to end with this one quote, and it's one that I love very much. It's from one of my mentors, Zig Ziglar. And the quote is this: "You can get everything in life you want if you just help enough other people get what they want." So help your patients get what they want. You'll have tremendous natural demand. You'll have tremendous new patient flow, and you'll have a tremendously successful practice. I'll see you next time on the Dr. John Meis Show.